Hello. Is this thing on? All right. How we doing? Day 2, Vegas. You guys, anybody hurting out there? I'm glad you made it this morning. Thanks for making it to the first one. I know some of you might not be feeling the best. So as I was introduced, my name is Chelsi Wilkerson, and I'm the president of Wilkerson Moravian Bakery. So let me get my little clicker here. So this is building a brand, not just a restaurant, or in my case, not just a bakery. And here's our logo here. And this is my family. So I'm very proud to say that Wilkerson Moravian Bakery is a multi-generational family-owned and operated business, of which I am part of the 4th generation. So you've got me, my parents, my 2 brothers, my sister, my nephew Roby. This is missing 2 of our key taste testers, Whit and Cooper as well, my other nephews, and Howard and Charlie on either end. So I want to tell you a little story about our brand. So we manufacture our products, and I actually have some samples out on the tables today if you need a little snack. We have a retail presence in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. That's where our home, our heart, our legacy is. And we, nearly a century ago, so my great-grandfather, he started what's pretty much known as just being a landmark in our town. So in 1919, he met Clara Jones, the beautiful Clara Jones, and in 1923, her father sent him along with his sons out to collect bricks to build a large commercial brick oven. And this oven that's behind them in the 1925 picture, it's what we call the original brick oven that they baked bread and cake in. So they launched that. He had an engineering background like my dad. He helped build this brick by brick and launched that in 1925. And that started quite a dynasty, I would say. So for nearly a century, sorry, let me pull this up. My feeling a little bit sick this morning, honestly, so my mind is a little scattered. So in 1925, so once they had this launched, he opened up his own section of a retail shop in the front of this commercial bakery in the late 1920s, and that's where he started gaining his following, and he was just known for making extraordinary products, and his kindness has really stuck out to everyone. So in 1930, he had saved up enough money to move from Greensboro, North Carolina to Winston-Salem, North Carolina with all 6 of his kids, to follow his dream and open up a bakery of his very own. So he did this in the face of the Great Depression. He was able to survive this really difficult period through his connection with his family, the Jones brothers. They were able to, ingredients that were rationed, such as sugar, flour, eggs, spices, he was able to get access to those key ingredients through this time with the help of his kids as well. And he built a loyal following, as I mentioned, with his kindness and just this extraordinary quality. Many times, he would tell customers, pay me when you can, with a wink of an eye. So people just really gravitated towards him, and he became extremely popular. He had a full hop bakery with a wide range of products. One of his specialties in particular was Moravian products. So Moravian is the oldest Protestant denomination in the world, if you haven't heard of it. It originated in Moravia, which is ancient Moravia, present-day Czech Republic. And long story short, they eventually settled in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and bought the land at the Carolina frontier that I live on. And so Moravians is very special and is really ingrained in the culture of where I'm from. And so my great-grandfather, he worked with Moravian elders of the churches, and because when they migrated over here, they brought with them a ginger spice recipe, a cookie recipe. And back then, the cookies were much thicker than they are today. They were pretty much just known as being a cookie made by Moravians, right? And my great-grandfather, through his innovations, started rolling them thinner and thinner until they became what is known as paper thin. And that's what gave them their identity. Before, as I mentioned, they were just a cookie made by Moravian. They had many names, Christmas cookies, different names like that, molasses cookies, glass cookies, because when, became a name later after my grandfather made them thin, because when you drop them, they shatter like a pane of glass. So he gave them this identity that made them extremely popular, as well as Moravian sugar cake. He brought that product to fame as well. And so around where I'm from, it's not the holidays if you don't have Moravian cookies and Moravian sugar cake. It's just not. So he created some traditions that have lasted for generations and been passed down. The bakery that he began, one of the reasons why I've been stuttering this morning is because it is an emotional topic for me, and I'm trying not to get to that point and have you guys think I'm crazy by starting to cry on stage. So I'm trying to just keep to the bullet points and not go off into the weeds. This particular bakery still exists, our old brand, and it's the most famous bakery in our area, has been for decades. Our family ran it for over 80 consecutive years, and we sold it in 2011. And we are back with another bakery, another brand, and we're technically direct competitors with the bakery that we spent nearly a century building. So it's pretty wild. It was definitely a gut-wrencher. So that's my family here in 2020. We tried to recreate a very similar picture to the 1925 picture. It's very kind of rare that we have so many pictures from the 20s. They didn't have many cameras and everything back then, but they were able to get a lot of pictures that we're able to use. So I'm trying not to get emotional here. So as I mentioned, that bakery, it was our soul, and we're no longer affiliated with it. And as he opened that bakery in the face of the Great Depression, we opened ours in the face of COVID. So kind of interesting there. But a recipe by itself has no soul. I came across a quote like that once, and it stuck with me. It's all of us, the bakers, the cooks, the makers, all of you here in the food industry that bring the soul to the recipe, right? And we're back because we're one of the original families, in our niche at least, and we have so much left to do and so much soul to put into our products. This has been our pride, passion, and way of life since 1925. It's our purpose. We just simply couldn't stay away from this industry. And if it hadn't happened the way that it did, I don't know that if we hadn't gone through all those hard years, that me and all 4 of my siblings would be as involved as we are today, as close as we are today. Who knows? My mom always says life only makes sense when played in reverse, and we're still on the edge of our seats to see everything that's going to happen. So this is my dad. He's nearly 70 years old, and this is what's the most fun for him, starting again. So if anybody's in this position where something's gone awry, or if you just want to start a new business in general, it's never too late. It's never too late. So I don't know if anyone's ever seen the movie Ford vs. Ferrari, but I just want to read a little quote that really resonates with my dad. So it's a truly lucky person who knows what they want to do in this world, because that person will never work a day in their life. But there are a precious few, and I don't know if they're lucky or not, but there are a few people who find something they have to do. Something obsesses them, something that if they can't do it, it's going to drive them clean out of their mind. And that's my dad. So, he loves water skiing, he loves all kinds of fun recreational activities, so he could retire, but this is the most fun for him. He has no other choice is how he feels, but to start again from scratch. So, we're building something as a family that will hopefully outlive all of us. Now that's fun. That's fun to us. So, his devotion to his family, ancestors, and to Moravian Bakery, it's the most powerful force I've ever seen, and it's inspired all of us to continue our legacy by his side, hence where I come in. So I'm going through all of this because this passion that we feel, it's one of the first necessary check marks to building your brand. You got to have that foundation. You got to know why you are doing what you're doing. And if you do know what the why, you've got a really good shot at building a brand that's going to last. It worked for my family the first time, and we're going to give it all we've got. This second and twice in a lifetime event is pretty much what it is. So, gone for a decade, now we're back. So I want to share a note that we put in all of our customers' shopping bags when we relaunched. And keep in mind, as we talk today about building a brand, this is the type of personal vulnerability and emotional reach that helps connect people to your brand, to you, and therefore your brand. We are our brands, right? They buy why you do, not necessarily what you do, which is actually some famous words by Simon Sinek, if you haven't heard him speak. And so this was written to our customers straight from my dad's heart. So know, please know, with all I have, I strive to do my best. That's my passion, and contributing to your holiday enjoyment is why my family bakes. Gone for a decade, now we are back. Thank you for supporting Wilkerson Moravian Bakery this holiday season. With pride and passion, heart and soul, Guy. P.S. Every year, I end up on a channel with the movie It's a Wonderful Life. Every year, I tell myself tears will not fill my eyes at the end of the movie, and every year, as hard as I fight it, tears fill my eyes. When George Bailey realizes that what really matters is family, and the community comes out to support him, it's something that touches the soul. This year, I will be weeping tears of joy because my family and my community, near and far, showing up. I feel the support, and it's breathtaking. When a bell rings, it will be my guardian angels getting their wings. So this is something that we put in all of our customers' shopping bags, and it really did mean a lot to them. And people came in and actually requested them. Like, they would come back and ask for extra copies to give to their friends and family members. They really liked them. And the reason I have this slide, you probably still can't even see it from where you're sitting, but I zoomed in on the star because we actually put what we consider our guardian angels hidden on this card. So in that star, you can see Jamie and Johnny, which is my late aunt and godmother, and my late uncle. So people that were part of our journey that helped us get to where we are today, we wanted to do a little tribute to them, even though it's kind of hidden, it meant something to us. And when customers did find out about it, they really appreciated that as well, just that personal connection. So, I think it's safe to say that we were faced with a very unique set of challenges coming back, being that our old brand does still exist. And as I mentioned, we are technically competing with them, but we'll talk about, only competing with ourselves as a brand. That is definitely how we feel. We're not affiliated with it today, and we don't want to be associated with them, but we do want to honor our ancestors, and because that's the core of our brand, and it's the core of why we're doing what we're doing. So it makes sense for us, and history doesn't lie, and we've found a way to honor our family and still establish ourselves as a very separate brand. And we don't want to be the biggest. We want to be the best. And that is a question that sometimes you have to start asking yourself when you are building your brand. Not to say that doing both is impossible, but you definitely come to a point where you're getting successful, you want to grow, and sometimes growing, it makes it hard to keep up with all of those little details and the quality and that personal touch that you can have with all of your customers, like what I'm talking about, this card, and telling stories personally to customers. It's hard to keep that very tight connection and relatability as you grow and get really big. So we know when starting our brand and going into this, we don't want to be the biggest, we want to be the best. We don't want to lose that family feeling. We don't want to lose control of our brand. So let's take this slow. This is a marathon, not a sprint. We're building a brand, not just a business, not just a bakery. So we're going to take our time, do this right, and build something that we can hopefully continue to pass down from generation to generation, as that's why we're doing this. So can I see a show of hands of who's already heard of Moravian cookies or Moravian sugar cake? Okay, a couple of us, nice. So for those that haven't, think about products that are synonymous with a city or a state, like New York pizza, Louisiana beignets, Louisiana king cake, Philadelphia cheesesteak. When it comes to North Carolina, Moravian cookies and Moravian sugar cake has that connection. They're just ingrained in the traditions there. It's likely a goal for a lot of us, right? Like, how do we become part of traditions? And that's something that my family really helped start, that we're very proud of, and we're never going to stop, continuing to build on that. I did put out some samples on your tables, so if my speech is a little painful, please just let me, just have some samples, and we can forget about it a little bit. So there's a quote here that, whoops, nope, here we go, yep, this is what I was going to. So this is just to show some more images up close of some of the products that we have. Generations of traditions, baked with love, putting soul into our products, love, like this is what we do. These right here at the top, these are Moravian spice cookies. This is the most popular, the original Moravian cookie. Those are in the red packaging. And this at the bottom here, this is Moravian sugar cake. So this quote right here is something my dad always says. History makers don't know they're making history. And I love this quote because it's true. I mean, my great-grandfather, when he was making these innovations and rolling them thinner and thinner until they couldn't be any thinner, he didn't know he was making history. He was just doing the best he could. He noticed they were selling better the thinner they were, so that's why he was doing it. And that was pretty much it, and it was getting better and better. Little did he know that centuries later, I mean, it was going to be potentially the state cookie of North Carolina, and this is largely due to his innovations of making them thin. Bill 394 here did clear the North Carolina House with a unanimous 115-0 vote. And I'm bringing this up so you can understand just how special they are to North Carolina, that I'm not blowing smoke. This is a very popular tradition. And, the thinner they are, the better they sell. And hopefully this gets passed into law, because they are so important. We really do believe that. And I hope that you try them and that you enjoy them. Please let me know if you have any specific questions about them. So, as I mentioned, the thinnest, some of our in our branding, the original thin, the thinnest of all. These are some different things that we say about them. The thinnest of all, our products are very seasonal. And the thinnest of all, we were going along with Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the most famous reindeer of all, and that's kind of where some of our branding comes in. So with this slide tastes like Christmas, one of the challenges that I felt as leading this company when it comes to branding was our products are so seasonal. Like 80 to 85% of our sales happen in the last 6 weeks of the year. So most people, and some other companies that might sell products like this or these ones, they obviously want to reduce the seasonality. Obviously, you want to make sales all year long, right? That makes the most sense. Make it a cookie that people want every day. But I have a hard time with it because, for me, the fact that they're so special during those last weeks of the year that's their identity. That is what makes them special. If we try to minimize that and make it the everyday cookie, to me it just loses a little bit of its charm. You look forward to that during the holidays. If it's pushed to you nonstop every single day of the rest of the year, are you going to crave it as much? Is it going to mean as much? Maybe. I mean, I definitely want you to order them during the whole year, for sure. But I would rather put my resources into increasing sales those last 6 weeks even more. And maybe a solution for the seasonality is have some other products that are less seasonal that we can really market during the rest of the year. And during other holidays, sure, we're still going to have these available. But that's just something that maybe some of you can relate to, I'm not sure, with some of your products. But it's just another question that you have to make with your brand. What do you want to do? Are you going to make it available everywhere, all the time? And what are some solutions? And I'm happy to open that up to conversation later. So we've got 7 flavors and counting. 6 of them are out on the tables here. And I'm a sucker for stories, so in our branding, we like to have a North Carolina themed story with it. For instance, our butter rum cookies, those are known as our Blackbeard Cookie. And the reason being, we found a manifesto, a list of all of the ingredients that were on Blackbeard's ship, also known as Edward Teach, when he came in and out of the Pamlico Sound back in the 1700s. And we were very just fascinated by it, and we decided, let's see if we can put all of those ingredients into a cookie and see what happens. And it turned out great. It's one of my favorite ones next to spice. So that story, when we tell that to people, I mean, their eyes light up, they want it. It really resonates with people, and it increases their desire to have those products. So I think having a story, having the family, the story, those are some of our advantages as a brand. And something that you can think about when you're doing your products. We don't have Blackbeard Cookie on our packaging right now, but it's something that I want to do. I'm still very much in the stages of building my brand and working on that. So it's one reason why I wanted to talk to you about it today, because it's fresh, it's happening. We're always working on our brands, but rebuilding a brand right now is one of my main priorities. So I'm just so excited to be able to talk to people about this here and maybe after, pass some ideas along and just, try to improve our businesses. So, reducing seasonality, one of our other products, we've got Carolina cheese straws. We added Carolina on there for our brand. They're known as cheese straws. It's a Southern tradition, another one that my family's made for decades. And we wanted to find a way to brand them, to make people relate them to North Carolina and South Carolina, because we think that that's important for our company. So a lot of people call them cheese straws, and Carolina cheese straws was available. So we've branded that, got the domain. Intellectual property is extremely important when you're trying to own your space. So just keep that in mind too. I have over 70 domains so far. I've actually surprised some I was able to get. I mean, MoravianCookies.com, MoravianCookie.com. Definitely don't assume that some domains that might be really relatable to your business, don't assume they're not available. Definitely go out there, do your research, and see what you can do to really help you own that space. Moravian Love Feast buns, I won't spend too much time going into every other product, but these ones definitely have probably the longest tradition of all. So Moravian Love Feast buns are very popular, especially Easter, so that's why I've got little Easter decorations in this picture. This conference fell during one of our busiest times, which I'm sure a lot of us are dealing with, being from the food industry. Holidays such as Easter are most likely popular for a lot of us. So here's the family again. This picture actually does have both of my nephews in here, or all three of them. Got Wint Cooper in there. So this, our family values really are our brand. We are a brand. I wear it every day, such as this hat. It's got our logo on the back, our Moravian star, our cookie shapes, hand-painted on there. It's a conversation piece I take with me to really give me something to talk about and a reason to bring my business up, and it's who I am. Hand-baked from the heart for 5 generations. I wanted to bring this up because I'm part of the 4th generation. The 5th generation is 4 years old and younger. So I realized that they are not in the factory with us every day, putting the cookies into the bags and rolling them. But the reason that we use them in our language and say 5th generation is because the why, going back to the core foundation, why are we doing what we're doing? We're doing what we're doing to pass down our legacy from generation to generation. This 5th generation right here, they inspire us every day. They have so much to do with why we're doing what we're doing. They love to, at least Roby, the oldest one, he dresses up like a baker, pretends to bake all the time. It's adorable. Maybe one day he'll be doing it for real and joining the family business. But saying 5 generations works for our company because we're a fun family brand. It's who we are. They're part of us. So just think outside the box. Don't get too worried. I was very, overthinking it. I overthink everything. I'm like, oh my gosh, can I say this? Is this technically right? And, I was encouraged, yeah, it's okay. This is your brand. So that's why we're baked from the heart for 5 generations. These are just a few reviews, just to kind of show the things that we've done to really have that emotional connection with our customers. You have touched my heart. I won't take the time to go through every single one, but they're very, it's really resonated with our customers, us coming back into business and sharing our story. So I'm going to have to skim through a few of these slides because I got a little bit too talky on some of the passion there. But we live in an entrepreneurship world, especially with influencers. It's so easy now to maybe try, or at least you want to try to get into the business game and have your own business, jump out of the 9 to 5. So we've got a lot of people doing that. Roughly 20% fail within the first year, apparently, and about half after the 5-year mark, and after 10 years, around a third have survived. So this is coming from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. Why is this happening? If it might depend on if you're building a business or a brand. A brand or a business, its main goal is making money. And building a brand, you're trying to build something that's going to last. So this is the emotional connection with your audience. It's how your business is perceived. And this is what's going to stand the test of time. So I bring up Tiffany's because obviously it's arguably the most iconic jewelry brand in the world. And there's 2 pieces. When you look at it, Robin blue box, which, let's be honest, when you see that color these days, most people think that's Tiffany blue, that you don't necessarily think, Robin egg blue or Scion. You think Tiffany's. That's pretty powerful. And the emotional connection, this is romantic. It's a fairy tale. Those are the things you feel when you see this brand, usually, most people. So the brand name, you can see it, but the brand really just exists in people's mind. So, and this doesn't happen overnight. So don't stress yourself out. This one right here, or this timeline, kind of talks about, there was about an 11-year period from when Tiffany's was recognized internationally, before it was actually ingrained in people's minds that Tiffany diamonds were, the best, and that it was truly etched into time. Now, in modern days, we have a lot more tools at our fingertips. So we can etch ourselves into people's minds a lot quicker than we could in the 1800s. But it does take time. Like I said earlier, this is a marathon, not a sprint. We're building a brand, not just a business, not just a bakery, not just a restaurant. Another reason I wanted to bring up Tiffany's is because we have an internal saying that we say we're looking for our Tiffany box, which means we want to find our unique look that's undeniably us. So I think we're all looking for our Tiffany box, something that if someone sees whatever our packaging is, that's Wilkerson. You don't even have to read it. So this is something that's very important to go around, and I'm kind of skimming through these because it looks like I'm getting down to a minute. So I had some examples in here of different things like brand Bibles, because I do think it's very helpful to have something to refer to quickly to help you stay consistent with your brand. So if anyone wants to talk about any of this later, I'm just browsing through here so you can see. It's good to have internal documents that you can refer back to all the time. I use it constantly. I need to do a post. What are our key messages? Just help yourself stay consistent there. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up to questions if there are any before this buzzer goes off. Thank you. Yes?
I thought it was really interesting how part of your branding thoughts or the model was to kind of incorporate the town as a whole.
Yes.
I thought it was interesting how your branding model was to kind of incorporate Moravian as a whole, and you compared it to New Orleans and New York, which are world leaders as far as an area. How taking a smaller town, or have you put any ideas together of how to take a smaller town like that and add it as the brand for Moravian cakes or Moravian cookies?
Yes, so if I understand correctly, that's a great question. Because like you said, New York pizza, like North Carolina and Moravian cookies, it's not well known right now at all. So we kind of do want to use our space to introduce the country to Moravians and what that means. I do have ideas. I want to actually travel over to Prague, and I have some ideas of just doing kind of a documentary style film to kind of explain the history of what Moravians mean, what those types of what they are, and the cookie, and like how it came to be, like what was the inspiration when they came with that ginger spice recipe, what was the beginning, how did we build upon it from there. want to give that history and introduce that. And we just launched our e-commerce brand last September, so there's a lot more national push that I do want to do. And if it does become the state cookie, that will be pretty cool to be able to communicate, and that might help when we are trying to spread the word and get on a level like New York pizza or something like that. I know that that's a, like you said, they're some of the biggest. Yeah. Yeah, and these products are historically more popular during the holidays because spices, they were more expensive than gold, back in the 1700s and before. They were so expensive, which is why they were celebrated with during the holidays and special occasions, because people didn't spend the money or have the money to spend on these types of products during just every day. So that's kind of where that background comes from. And I just, I want with our branding to be able to spread the word, and it's not the holidays, or you don't want to have the holidays without Moravian cookies, Moravian sugar cake. So, thank you. Yes? Yeah.
Okay, I'll just speak louder. Why do you make the shape of the cookie for each holiday season?
That's a great question. We have 4 year-round shapes that we came up with meanings for each of them, so they each have a personal meaning to us. And we do have holiday shapes. Since we did just relaunch basically in 2020, we haven't gotten those going yet, but we want to have 12 shapes of Christmas, 12 days of Christmas. So we will have more holiday shapes that we'll do to really make it more special during the holidays.
Yeah, because that would be fun, like St. Patrick's Day, the hat.
Oh, exactly.
Easter, the bunny.
Yes.
Stars maybe for, New Year's Eve or something like that.
Right, absolutely. No, that's a great idea. And we used to, have pastel cookies or Easter-shaped cookies, hearts for Valentine's Day. So there are those types of things. I was talking about seasonality earlier. That definitely would help with the seasonality for the products, and that's something we've thought about as well. But as long as our resources are going to things like that, making them more special for your special occasions, even if it's not just the winter holiday. But yeah, that's a great question. Thanks. Anybody else? Thanks, guys. I'm sorry that I tripped up in the beginning. I knew I was going to cry today, or I thought I was going to, and I felt it coming, and so I just paused and was like, oh my gosh, do not do this right now. But it has been a pleasure to be here and speak with you today, and I hope to meet more of you throughout today and tomorrow. So have a good one. Thanks.